Good morning, everybody. It's another Sunday morning for me, and I decided to do a flea market find segment so I could put away a couple of things that I picked up. Trying to clean off the workbench area a little bit here. It's always a pigsty. So why don't we just get right into it. Alright, so for starters, I hit the used tool store this past week and didn't see anything that really excited me too much. But then after walking around a bit, I did end up I found this this torch attachment, oxyacetylene torch attachment. This is a it's got just a whole bunch of little pinholes and a circle. Now, I believe this is what's called a rosebud in slang terms, but this is good for preheating. I don't have anything for preheating with my torch setup. I'm hoping that this is just a standard type of thread that will fit my torch. I think I've got a Victor torch. I've got the, it's a good high, the good brand name old brass one. So I think Victor is the name on that. I don't remember. But this says I don't know what the heck this says on it. It's got little symbols on it I can't make out. All right, it's a it's got an oval with a scripted MECO. It looks like MECO. That doesn't sound like quality. So I don't even know what a new one of these in a low-end brand would cost. He had $650 on it, and when I asked him if he'd take 5, he flatly said no because he had just put it out. There were a couple other torches there too, pretty much all around the same price. I think the other ones might have been a little cheaper because they were just straight cutting torches, or not cutting torches, welding torches, welding, brazing, whatever. Because I didn't have one, this is something I had been wanting to pick up at some point. I paid him the $650 for this. Then when I was digging through a box of end mills and junk that he had marked at $3 a piece, I came across this homemade radius gauge right here. This is a .5625, and I had remembered that a few weeks ago I had dug through that same box, pretty sure it was that same box, and had found several of these and put them together as a pile and bought them for $3. So when I went to check out, I asked him, about this, and he said that you can take it. And I said good, because I said I think this is actually part of that set I bought from you a couple of weeks ago. He didn't seem phased. But anyway, so I can add that one to that pile. And then I spied a couple of oxyacetylene hoses. That's the one I ended up buying, this one here. This is pretty much a regular oxyacetylene hose. I don't know the length on it. He had $15 on this. I saw a second one that the outside diameter of the hoses was much larger. It seemed like it was like a rugged duty or heavy use hose or something. And so I really liked the looks of that one. And it was coiled up on the floor, and I think he had just got that in not too long ago. I don't remember seeing it the week before, but anyway, so I asked him, I said, what are you going to get for that oxyacetylene hose under the table there? And he had 30 on it. And I asked him if he'd take 20, and he said, nah. He said the guy said it was a 100-foot hose. So I looked at it again kind of skeptically, and he said, yeah. He says, I think it's probably a 50-foot hose. So it was an extreme duty, I guess, or something along those lines, 50-foot hose for $30. But I decided, well, I saw this other one, and I said, well, how much for the other one? I said, would you take 10 for the other one? And he said, yeah. So I got this one for $10. So I'm happy with this. The hose on my torch right now didn't have any leaks or issues on it last time I used it. But unfortunately, that's been stored. That's gotten a lot of direct sunlight and exposure to the weather. Because it's so heavy, I don't want to get it down here in the basement. I really don't have a good place to store it outside. So, make a long story short, it's all sun faded, and I'm worried about that's causing deterioration on the jacket. So I wanted to have a backup on hand in case next time I go to fire that thing up, if I find out it's got leaks in it or something. So that was a good deal. I didn't see any damage on it. Oh, one last thing I wanted to say about this hose was that when I buy these hoses, if I'm considering a used oxyacetylene hose, the first thing I do is I look to see who the manufacturer is. I forgot who makes this one, but then it's got also, it clearly says that it's this is a Dayco, D-A-Y-C-O, Dayco, USA. So it's not a cheap foreign hose. It's a good U.S. made hose. I mean, I don't know what quality Dayco is compared to, you know, other manufacturers, but I'd rather have a U.S. made hose as opposed to something made overseas. Oh, I had one other item I picked up at the tool store. I got off the dollar bargain table. I weeded through there and I found a little magnifying glass, and I'll have to show that some other time, maybe later in this series, because I think I left it out in the truck. It's just a little wooden handled glass magnifier, and it's always handy to have one of those, especially when your eyes get older. Alright, so then I hit the flea market, and first trip to the flea market in a while, and I picked up, came across, guy had a couple of tripods, and I came across this tripod, and struck me as unusual was how many segments it had, and that it seems really beefy, well made, and it appears to have the standard thread on the top used for cameras, but unfortunately there's no swivel top to it or anything like that, so I'm going to have to come up with something else as far as the top goes. But I think I got this for like $4, and I don't know if this was originally used for photographic lighting equipment or what, but let me show you. So when I unfolded this thing, the first thing I noticed about it was the design of the base. The tripod actually opens out really far and has a really wide stance, but because the legs aren't as vertical and they're more horizontal, it's actually not that much of a trip hazard. It's a little easier to step around it or over it, but it makes it very stable, which is a good thing considering how far this thing can telescope. Alright, so I'm just over 6 feet tall, and I've only got the first two sections extended, and it's actually got two more sections, but if I just try even extending this second to the last section, it actually goes up into the area between into the bay between the floor joists. So fully extended, this thing's probably 10 or 12 feet. So I'm thinking it was not designed for a camera, and it was designed for lighting. But I just like that it's a very stable base, and also these little locks right here, they're really nice and sturdy, and they're quarter turn and they fully lock. Spoke too soon. Well, they're friction lock, but the point is that they're easy to adjust. They adjust quickly, and again, really stable. I think this might be handy outside. That same day at the flea market, I came across a vendor who had this Xbox on his table, and all he had with it was the power cord, no controllers, no AV cable, no nothing. And he had told me he had just put it out and it was untested, and he wanted $5 for it. So I bought this for $5, figured I'd take a chance. For $5 it was worth taking a chance. But he actually also had a bunch of other video game stuff, and if I had looked long enough, I probably could have found the AV cable and a controller, but I actually decided just to invest in this initially because I had the multi-cable that came with my, that I ended up getting for my son's PS2, and interestingly enough, I thought that was also usable on an Xbox. Well, come to find out, what a multi-cable is, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, is basically this is a multi-cable. So this is an aftermarket audio-video game cable that is actually usable on multiple systems. So I think this particular one is, yeah, this is for a PS2, PS3. This is for the Wii, and this is unmarked, but come to find out, this is for the Xbox 360. So I actually can't use it on this one. When I went back the next week, first I picked up another one of these, thinking, oh good, that way I don't have to rob the one from his PS2 in his room because he's playing that. Well, then it turns out, got that for nothing because this is for Xbox 360. So then I ended up getting the correct cable. So you can see this is the Xbox 360. It's wider and it's got a wedge shape, a very distinct trapezoid, I guess, or whatever you want to call that. Whereas the original Xbox cable is narrower, thicker. It's also, if you put it on its side, it's a letter D shape, capital D. Also, the center part, it's almost got like a male plastic part that sticks out inside there, whereas this is strictly a female plug. Then just today I went back and I scored, for $2 I scored this original Xbox controller. It's actually, what's nice about this is it actually came with this extension cable. So this is kind of interesting how this comes apart. And apparently that's so you can actually add on a longer cable. So I'll do a video on this separately, basically showing what I ended up finding with that thing. So here's the little magnifier I scored for $1, and appears to be made out of aluminum, and it's got a real glass lens in it that's loose, and there doesn't appear to be any way to tighten it, but as long as it's not falling out I don't really care. And a wooden handle, which suggests that it's got a little bit of age to it, but it works pretty good, so it's a handy little thing to have. Then I met a woman who was advertising that they were clearing out a warehouse that they were renting, and that there were all types of household goods, and she had mentioned, I think, tools, and I had sent her a message inquiring whether or not there were any machinist tools, and she said she didn't know because she said it was just stuff. So set up a time to go there and check out the stuff, and found out the situation is that they clean out houses. They clean out houses that are foreclosed on by the bank, and the bank basically has them take everything out of there. So whatever was left behind, the bank considers to be trash, and what they were doing was they were stockpiling the stuff that they thought had value. So there was all kinds of stuff there. One of the items that I looked at initially was an old walk-behind lawnmower that was in non-running condition, and initially I kind of passed on it because I only offered him $25 for it. But then I did some research and found out that the particular manufacturer, Bunton, actually makes a very good commercial grade walk-behind lawnmower, and even though this was an older model, then it might be worth me investing some time into. The engine wasn't stuck and it had compression, so you know, can't be too much to get something like that running. Well, we shall see. That'll be an upcoming, probably this spring, that'll be an upcoming series on the Bunton lawnmower, because I went back today and increased my offer, and we settled on $45. I'm going to take delivery of that later this week, and I'll probably just shoot a little bit of video of that just to show you guys what it looks like. And then, like I said, we'll probably do a series in that on the repair and cleanup of that in the spring. So as far as Machinist Tools goes, there was only one item that qualified as actual bona fide machinist, and even at that I'm not quite sure. I found this box. Apparently it was somewhere where moisture had gotten to it, because this cover, which appears to be the bottom cover, even though it's the only side I can find with any marking, it says case made in Switzerland. So I don't know if they're saying that the actual case is made in Switzerland or what, but the way it opens certainly would indicate that this is the top, and then on the back you can see rust on the hinges. the box is in really bad shape. Surprisingly, though, the contents are actually in pretty good shape, even though there is plenty to indicate that moisture had gotten in here. So there's mildew inside the case, and the case is falling apart. And what's in there is this little magnetic base. It's a mag mount. Okay. Adjustable. This piece, which actually is just a clamp to clamp this rod of the indicator onto the main mount, onto the main mast. That's all it was in here. I was only able to find one other of these on eBay, and the seller clearly didn't know what this was, nor do I. And I would love it if somebody can tell me what this indicator is. So initially I thought that there was something wrong with it because I couldn't get it to do anything. This rod does not. This rod is fixed to the body of the indicator. By the way, the name on this is Jaquette, or Jaquette, I think is how you say this. It's what's that say? Oh, use my handy dandy. It's Scott and Williams Incorporated, Laconia, New Hampshire, but it's Jaquet, and on the back it says made in Switzerland 148695. Now I googled this name and found plenty of tachometers made by this company, so that might be a clue as to what this is. As a matter of fact, I have a Jaquette, whatever, tachometer that I acquired this past summer. This one, is this the Jaquette? Yeah, so this is the tachometer that I've got from that company. Box looks similar, okay? And this says made in Switzerland on the face, Jaquet. So the Scott and Williams Incorporated, Laconia, New Hampshire is kind of intriguing. I don't know if that's a supply house maybe. And if it's a supply house, what were they doing? Were they having these things made specifically for them? Don't know. So here is what I thought was a button that does not want to press. I now have come to find out that it's actually a little lever. See that little movement right there? Let me make sure I'm zoomed in enough here. Alright, so here we go. That's a good look at the face right there. And then there's that little button right there that you kind of push to the side. So what does this do? Well, after playing with it a little bit, I finally was able to figure out that what it does is this big disc on the back right here actually rotates. And if you rotate this disc, it actually moves the needle. And this is in 10 inches, it says. 10 inches. So I think what they're saying is 10,000ths of an inch maybe. I don't know. But depending on which way you rotate it, that dictates which way it's going to go, and that which way the needle goes. And then every time the needle goes around once, it will make this subdial move. Oh, I'm sorry. It'll make this subdial move one time. One division. There you go. And then I haven't done it yet, but I assume that if I did this 10 times and this subdial comes all the way around to 0, that this subdial would end up going to 1. So this seems to measure distance somehow. But what I don't get is how exactly you connect to this to make it turn. There is a slot right here. and I can't see how that slot would grab anything. So I don't know if there is additional pieces missing from the box here. And since I haven't been able to find another one of these to compare this to, unfortunately, I can't tell. So if anybody knows exactly what this is, speed is a measure of distance over time. So what does this measure? This measures distance. I don't know. It's throwing me off. And then this button right here resets it to 0. So the good news is it works. The bad news is I have no idea what it's for. And I have a feeling even if I end up finding out what this does, it's not going to be something that I can use. But I got this for $5, so I'm certainly not hurting. Even with the case being in horrible shape, the fact that it actually seems to work would indicate to me that I could probably resell this for a profit. Matter of fact, the one that sold on eBay, the only one that I could find, the one that sold on eBay, I think, I don't remember exactly how much it went for, but it was kind of surprising. I bought several other non-tool and machinist related items out of that warehouse. I'll show some of those just out of, just in case there was any curiosity about some of the stuff. So then there wasn't a lot of other, there really wasn't any other machinist related items, and even tool related items. There wasn't a lot that I was that interested in. But this box had a few things that I was interested in, and then I found like these items laying in other boxes. So I grabbed them and threw them in here, and I just said, $10 on this box, and they were fine with that. So this is a hole punch for leather, I think, but I saved these for cutting holes in gaskets. Got several of these now. I'll add this to the collection. It's rusty, but it looks like it's still sharp enough, keen enough an edge on there that it would work. Got a 7/16 inch Craftsman wrench in good shape. Throw that in the collection of wrenches. Junky socket set that I don't have much care for. Drill index that's missing several drills, but has a few left in it. Some of them actually look like they're unused. Big chisel. Some of this stuff I didn't even look at. Here's an 8-inch round. Cuts quickly steel with hard surfaces. It's a file. It's almost like a rat's tail file. This is just a punch. Dirty file. More files, more chisels. So the main items I were interested in was I did see a few drill bits that looked decent in here. Punches, several punches. And then a handful of air hammer chisels. And I didn't even see these in there. But this is a pair of this is a vernier calipers. No markings whatsoever on them. Just a cheapie. Oh, supper's ready. Just a cheapie pair. I'll just give you a quick look in this box. Alright guys, I emptied out the entire contents of this tote just to see what ended up being in there, and this is all the drill bits. And some of them are actually in pretty good shape. So I'm pleased with that. 2 Craftsman punches. 3 of this style of punch, but they say China on them, so they're cheap ones. They say wear safety goggles in big letters on them, and you can bet you better. When you're hitting a Chinese punch, make sure you're wearing safety goggles. 3 nail sets. This little punch here is an interesting one. The special drill bit and guide for the Craig jig, pocket drilling jig for woodworking. This chisel. Several files here, some of them in pretty rough shape. Here's a really little file. Throw that with my pattern files. And a little 3-pack of files right here that actually look like they might be okay. Oh no, they were rusty too. Extra drill chuck key. 2 of this style and 2 of this style of chisel. And 1 of this style chisels for air hammer and a point. Those will probably fit my air hammer. The little cutter that I think I already mentioned. This unusual little screwdriver, it's got a regular head screwdriver in there that's recessed. So I think this is designed to be able to hold the screw so that you can reach down inside somewhere and screw it in, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think this, yeah, this doesn't come apart or anything. Little pin vise. Thought maybe there was a maker on this, but I don't. Oh, all right, here it is. Oh, that's nice. That's an LS Starrett company pin vise. In good shape. I don't know whether or not this hole in the bottom here is supposed to have something in it. 1 countersink. Several masonry bits. Well, that's a 1/4-inch spade bit. A few masonry bits. Here's a 1/2-inch one, brand new, and Vermont American, brand new in the package still. Spade bits. Some of these really old spade bits here. Those could probably still be resharpened and used. An adjustable spade bit. And these new in the package Weldcraft plug cutters. The lowly Craftsman wrench, 1 stainless steel hose clamp, and 1 panel mount on-off toggle switch.